live.
Yay!
And I think despite all the preparation, I managed to cut off about the first 5 seconds of my long words on promo video. But hey, that's live video for you.
Tim, I have to plug you just for a second. I'm totally interrupting. And hi, Amanda.
Hello.
But I want to plug Tim really fast because you put a lot of work into our intros and producing and all that. So I want to make sure everyone knows that this is Tim's work and he's really good at it. So thank you for doing that, Tim. Really
well,
good.
Yeah, I just enjoy doing those little intros. Anyway, before we totally ignore today's guest, today's guest is Amanda Webb, who
Hello.
I had the pleasure of meeting in Dublin, I think about 5 years ago, at one of Ian Cleary's conferences. And Amanda is a big thing in the social media world in Ireland.
Doesn't say a lot, Tim. Ireland. Go bigger.
She's also been like a super successful room host at Social Media Marketing World, and she's spoken at all sorts of events, quite a few Janet Murray's and like Blog World and various other things that I've no doubt not heard of in Ireland. So yes, welcome to the show. And
Thank you.
Now let's begin with the obvious question. If you had to describe yourself using 3 animals, which 3 animals would you pick?
Okay. Well, obviously a cat, because cats are the best animals in the whole wide world, and they're quite smart. So I'm going to go with that. Apart from them being brilliant, and they're cuddly, and so we'll go with a cat. I'll go with, and because they're curious. Can I have a cat 3 times?
There are 3 different types of cats. If you can name like specific breeds.
3 cats.
Like a tiger. No, I can't think. I don't have claws, so I'm not like a cat in that aspect. So I'm going to go with, I should have prepared this because I know it's your question. What other animal am I like? I'm like an animal that hides from people. What's that? A mouse. So as well as a cat, I'm a mouse. I'm a mouse that likes to spend time by themselves, like in their little mouse hole, working away. But then obviously I have my extravagant side because I like doing Facebook Live, and I'm here today. So I'm going to say I'm a peacock. There you go. Ooh. A cat, a mouse, and a peacock.
That does sound like the introduction to a joke, doesn't it? It's like cat, mouse, and peacock walks into a room. So, well, that bought me a little bit of time to think of what my actual first question is going to be. Crystal was asking me to describe you, and it's like, well, you do lots of things, and you do them really well. Like you used to run like a video training workshop, which I did with where you got using mobile phones. You've also been a blogger for a long time. That makes you sound like blogger for ages. And you also obviously do a weekly show about social media. You have worked in film before you were in the exciting world of social media, because we had those discussions about Kevin Bacon, which we'll probably come back to later on. And I suppose let's start with the obvious non-businessy question. You're in Ireland and you're not Irish. How did you end up in Ireland, and what was it like to move from the UK to Ireland?
So I suppose first off we should probably explain, because I know in America, because obviously the UK and Ireland are small countries and we're quite insignificant, that Ireland is an independent country of its own. Northern Ireland is part of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, which is the United Kingdom, but Ireland is actually a country on its own. So it is actually moving country when you move from England to Ireland. So I know, it's commonly thought they're all the same, but I'm in the bit that is the separate country. So I moved here because I finished college and I'd studied film and television, and I had big ideas. Like, I'm quite a big idea person. I was going to say ambitious. I don't know if that's it. Maybe a little bit mad. Yeah. No, I wanted to make a film. I thought that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to. A lot of the people on my course ended up working for shopping TV. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make a film. So, but I was broke. I was working in a cinema because that was as close as I could get to film and TV. And I couldn't really see, I didn't have connections. I didn't really have anything. So I couldn't see how it was going to happen. And I was at college with someone from Ireland, and they suggested that I moved here because there was a vibrant film industry. And then, as if by magic, we met a guy in London who was just finishing off his film degree and was coming over to Ireland to make a feature film that he was producing himself. So that was it. I was going, let's make this leap, as you do when you're in your early 20s. You go, yes, this is what I'm going to do. So I saved up £300, a lot of money, and moved country.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was it. And it is very similar, or it's more similar now to the UK than it was then. Back then there were differences, so that even though we both used pounds, they were actually physically different pounds. It was the punt, which they used to call a pound, and you couldn't get things that you would be, the brands that we'd be used to having in the UK. There weren't shops from the UK. It was the shops didn't open at all on a Sunday, whereas now they open all day on a Sunday, more than they do in the UK. So there were a lot of small, subtle differences. And I think when you move country, if I was going somewhere like America, I'd expect this huge cultural difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But moving so close, I wasn't expecting it. So it was the little things that would just freak you out. And also there was a football match between Ireland and England the week I moved, and English fans got a bit out of hand, and there was a riot. And I remember sitting in a pub watching that, and sneaking quietly out of the pub. Open my mouth. Nobody will know if I don't speak. So but I love it here. I really love it here. A lot of those familiar British brands are here now. I get to watch British telly, although less so now. We're all Netflix, but it's I'm completely ingrained in Ireland. I'm here 25 years, but I've never lost my accent, which annoys me because people always ask me, when did I arrive?
I find it's amazing they didn't force you to wear a leprechaun outfit. And that's what I heard. Americans expect Irish people.
You see, I can't really do that because I'll always be British to people because of my accent. If I wore that, it would look like I was mocking Irish people. So
true. Amanda, I have a question going back to your film history. What were you particularly interested in, a subject that you wanted to produce or write a story about?
I was really into social realism films. So like Mike Leigh, Ken Loach, they're two really big British directors who write films about working class people that are slightly depressing. So that's what I really wanted to do. And I didn't make a film like that. So I was involved in a film like that in Ireland called Adam and Paul, which the director of, Lenny Abrahamson, has directed Room, which it won an Oscar for Best Actress. And he's done a few big films since then. So that was his first film. And that was comedy, but also had that social realism aspect. And that was when I worked on that film, I knew I wanted to quit the film business because I didn't direct it, and I was never going to direct a film like that. I wasn't going to be Mike Leigh. I wasn't going to be Lenny Abrahamson. I wasn't going to even be Steven Spielberg. So I decided I should do something else.
And was that because you didn't think you had the talent to do it, or you didn't want to go through having to be senior director T-boy level 4 and then level 5 and level 6? Or you realised you had to work on a load of crappy sort of films that you didn't really believe in before you got to that point? What was the motivation behind thinking well, I'm never going to get anywhere in this industry?
I think I lost my passion. The things that people will tell you, you would think that people who work on films love films.
Yeah.
I can tell you they really don't care. It's like they really don't care. It's a job. It's an incredibly stressful job, and there's a lot of competition, but not in the nice way that businesses are generally competitive with each other. It's very harsh. So it's quite stressful from that point of view. And I didn't go in. I went in and did a job that I could get, which was as a trainee assistant director initially, and I upgraded to third, and I was the second, which is the second, obviously, assistant director on Adam and Paul, and that's where I was going. And the next step would be to become a first assistant director, and the next step after that isn't director. Because what assistant directors do is they keep the film running on schedule, they make sure everything's in the right place at the right time, and they also carry the buck for everything. And that's not the career path to a director. And I lost my love of film as well, because when you're trying to keep something on schedule, you just want to go, well, let's just get it done. I don't care if it's not good. Let's just get it done. So I kind of lost my passion for it. I didn't think I really wanted to work in that environment, even as a director, because directors have it really hard. You know, if I thought I was in a competitive space, everyone undermines your decisions as a director. So I didn't think I was as talented as Steven Spielberg, for example. So that was it. I was kind of going, I don't think this is going to happen for me. I don't think I even want it to happen for me anymore. I want to go and do something else.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by this. I'm fascinated by the storytelling aspect of film, but it makes sense that you would then go into blogging and social media because you still have that. Is that kind of why you stepped into the blogging world? It still allowed you to maybe tell story and
yeah, creating is huge for me. It's like when I was a kid, I'm sure you've seen the Goldbergs. I love the Goldbergs, but in the Goldbergs, Adam, the youngest kid in the Goldbergs, he makes films with his video camera, which would have been a similar generation to me, maybe slightly younger than me. But my parents couldn't afford a video camera, but I was obsessed with TV and video. So that's all I wanted to do, like all from being a little kid all the way up. But it is actually about creating stuff. I created radio shows. I had a hospital radio show. I created little magazines, which I just distributed to my friends. You know, I really enjoyed creating content. So actually, this wasn't the first business I started when I quit film. I started a business selling corporate gifts, which is, to me now, it's like, that is just not the right business for you at all, Amanda. But that's what I did. But even then, it was all about creating content to promote it. So the fact that it's so accessible now, I can do it with a phone, or even back then with a little video camera or webcam, compared to like truckloads of equipment. I mean, if you've ever seen a film production, it's like trucks and trucks and trucks of equipment. I just love that. It's accessible. I can do what I want. I'm my own boss. There's nobody really competing with me. Obviously, I have business competitors, but I think we're all friends. I think so. They might tell you differently, but I've decided we're all friends.
I love that. Okay, so can we touch on the friendship thing and competition? Can you talk about that a little bit? Because that is something that deters people from social media and life in general. The importance of staying friends with those in the business, in the industry. And what that means.
So I guess you do see. When I started out doing this, it was 11 years ago, and it was a new thing. So there weren't many people doing it. So I was quite lucky from that point of view. And over the years, you see more and more people popping up. And to be honest, you see someone popping up, you go and check out their stuff. And whatever they've done wrong, in your head, you're going, because they will have done something wrong. Then I did. You're just in your head, they don't even know that. But then you're kind of like, doesn't matter. You know, that's where I was. You know, they've got so much more competition. At least I'm established now. You know, there's, you know, you begin to just go, actually, you know, it's fine. Let's get to know this person. And that's lovely because we all have different customers, really. So I can pass work to people. You know, if I've got somebody that wants social media management, that isn't something I do. So I have some really great people that I can refer people to for that. And maybe if they're full up with people that want a little bit more intense consultancy and strategy work, they'll send them my way because they're a different client. They're not a good fit for them. So I think once you get to know your competitors and who they're looking after, you can really refer work around. And I'm never scared of doing that because I can't do all the work. I'd love to, but I can't.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing about the whole kind of social media marketing and all the new industries is that they're growing so quickly that it's not like you're selling mattresses or something where, like, literally if you don't get the sale and the person next door, that's it. There's so much work and stuff floating around that It doesn't make sense in a way. The referral's worth more than like beating the competition, so to speak.
Absolutely. And also you can learn from your competitors. So you can look at what they're doing and be inspired by them, like don't copy, but you can just go, oh, they're so much better than me. I need to work harder so that I'm as good as them. And that really does inspire you. So, and I think mostly in the social media marketing world, we're all friends. I'm sure there's a few people out there that don't enjoy the competition, but from my point of view, I'm kind of happy.
Yeah. There's enough to go around. I always say there's enough to go around. Let's be cheerleaders.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we've gone through your like your film career, and then you did corporate gifts, which does sound a bit bizarre.
Yeah, let's not even talk about that.
When did you first like start transitioning from think, oh, I've got to do well? I suppose the corporate gifts is you're not going to do a proper job, so to speak. But when did you start suddenly thinking like, oh, I can do this blogging or social media stuff? What was your first kind of feeling that, oh, maybe I can make a living out of this?
It was the recession.
Oh.
And I always think, you've got to take these things as opportunities. The recession came along. It was clear to me, like I had meetings with the banks and they were going, look, we can't be seen to, even we had the budget, we can't be seen to be buying things because it looks crass during that. And I think a lot of people are going to be in that same situation now. So instead of kind of going and panicking, just kind of go, this is an opportunity to do the thing I always wanted to. Not that social media was, but I knew that I hated sales, which was a big part of corporate gifts. Wasn't particularly good at it, hated it, had to spend way too much time in my car. I mean, the sad places, like if you go to a beach at lunchtime, you go into the car park, it's all full of salespeople with seats all the way back, either having a nap or eating a horrible sandwich. That was it. I hated that. I hated all the stock taking. I hated creating like hampers of gifts. So gift boxes is what you call them in the States. I hated everything about it except the marketing. So to me, it was a little bit of a relief when the recession came along that I didn't have to do that anymore. And I had been really strong on digital. I'd like channeled everything away from traditional the final year. And I'd made quite a few sales through it. So I knew it was the right direction to go in. I was very beginners. I was very naive at what I was doing then, but I was kind of like, I'm known for being good at this. I can sell this to other people. And I set up Spider Working with €20. No, it was £20 at the time, I think. No, euro. It was €20. I set it up with €20 and I got customers straight away. So it paid for itself within a week. So, and I haven't looked back really. I just keep learning more and more and more about what I'm doing and hopefully getting better every day. Yeah, so I've noticed your last thing that you've been doing is you're getting in the Christmas spirit.
I saw that.
No, I mean that seems remarkably. I'm
gonna have to close my blinds. Sorry, it's giving me a zigzaggy face. I can't. I was
thinking you were doing your you picked zebra as your new animal. So you're a Christmas zebra. I mean, some people are going to be saying like, we're struggling to keep our businesses going, blah blah blah. Why should we be thinking about Christmas and the seasonal stuff now? And you're going to come back with a really good answer.
I'm going to say, yes, I'm doing a webinar, a masterclass, free masterclass. So you don't have to.
Spiderworking.com. Yeah, spiderworking.com/festive.
Festive. So I'm doing a masterclass and in August. And to be honest, August is already too late if you want to really smash your Christmas sales. We know people are buying online now, right? That's probably not going to change. I didn't see everyone making a dash to the shop when it opened, a lot of people are still going to be buying online. So you really need to make sure now that all your systems are in place, that it makes the buying process really seamless, that it makes it really easy for people to buy from you, that your whole follow-up is good, because the last thing you want is everything coming back to you after Christmas.
Yeah.
You need to be building your audiences, getting people engaged with you so that when Christmas comes, I don't think you should be wearing a Christmas hat yet, not till December. But you need to know what you're doing between now and then so that you can really jack up your Christmas sales. And there's really interesting trends out there that people are self-gifting. So I know I'm doing that, right? Because I'm not going out.
Yeah.
So if I'm not, well, rarely going out. If I'm not going out, I've got a little bit of extra money. So I will go and browse a website and buy things that I wouldn't normally buy. And a lot of that is from, I mean, I am buying stuff from Amazon, but a lot of it is from small suppliers. So this is really your time to shine. And exactly if you are struggling to keep your business going, and actually this applies even if you're not e-commerce, even if it's not for this holiday season. If you are struggling, this is the best thing you can do, is actually plan for success in 5 months' time. So that's why I'm running it now, because it's a good time for people to get it. And also from a marketing point of view, if somebody sees a Christmas hat in their feed at the moment, it's going to get their attention, right?
So the question is, what other hats have you got on the off chance that I mentioned the topic?
This one's not as good because you can't really fit on screen properly with it.
Yeah, but
I've also
that is
got...
almost guarantee that I'm going to include it in one of the title montages when I do it.
We have. Do I see Christmas lights behind you too?
They're flamingo lights. They could technically be Christmas lights, but no, I just went with the 3 bits. I did a Facebook Live today and forgot to put the hat on. I'm devastated.
So, like, as you can see, we're like, I always think like we're a really new live show, but we've actually been going for about 3 months now, 3 or 4 months. We've interviewed quite a lot of people. One of them was in the chat, well, 2 of them in the chat earlier.
Tim and James Prescott. Hi, Tim and James.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're watching at the moment, but maybe it's not coming through. But how important are things like props both in live shows and also in speaking and in anything to do with video? How important are like having these things around to sort of say, ooh, or whatever?
I used to use a lot more. When Facebook Live was just on your phone, and it was, how can I keep this visually interesting so that people will want to watch? Because the problem with live video is just one shot, right? It's just that camera pointing at you and it doesn't move, which isn't a great way to keep people's attention. There's a reason that films cut. There's a reason that TV shows cut and have different shots, and that's to keep it visually interesting. So at the beginning, when I was first doing my shows, looking at things like, if I stand up, I can do things like lean in at the camera to make a point and move around a bit to keep it visually interesting. But also then props, I brought props in. So I used to have loads more. I've still got them scattered around my office. I just have cool stuff in my office anyway, because you want a cool environment, right? So I use them less now. I do use this quite a bit whenever I'm promoting something. It's handy to have. Mm-hmm. But as the technology's got better, I'm using it less. So I use Ecamm Live mostly to go live. Actually, when I'm doing interview shows, I use StreamYard like you, because it's just better at handling that. But that gives me lots of features. So I can run pre-recorded video, which I have little stings that go in between the sections of my news. I can bring up things on the screen. I can bring up comments on the screen. I've seen you've been doing that. So there's lots of bits I can do without the props now. I don't need that. I still stand up so that I can do.
There you go.
The moving around. But I use them less. But I think it can help you stand out a little bit, because you become the person with the props or the interesting. It makes it a little bit more interesting. So I see you both got mugs. So you're really doing the coffee break, right? I've got an Irish mug.
Well, yeah, but it's 8 o'clock in the UK. It's only noon this is a real issue with international stuff.
The time difference, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
That's why I'm doing my webinar at 7 p.m. so that it works for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, it's like your regular. I think it's the same show that you had to do at 2 o'clock in the morning in San Diego.
It is, featuring yourself. Yes.
Which is basically this bizarre conversation that it was like, I think we were in the bar in the Hyatt at like 10:30, and you were like, "Oh, I need somebody to help me with my show at 2 o'clock in the morning." I'm like, Well, I think I was like, oh, okay.
I had 3 people roped in, but Tim was the one brave enough to get in front of camera. The other 2 just stood in the background and giggled.
Yeah, just held up. Well, you had a sort of a whiteboard. I'm not even sure. It's probably been erased for taste's sake from the internet somewhere. But,
no, it's still there somewhere, I think. Because I remember waking up the next morning and I hadn't really been drinking much. I'd had a couple of beers, but I was very careful that I wasn't going to be drunk. I remember waking up the next day and going, oh, what did I do? I must go and delete that. But people loved it. They loved it.
Yeah.
Some drunk girl came in the middle and just introduced herself to camera. It was like just...
Well, I think people are a lot more tolerant of live video. I mean, we've had like the last week's show, the guy's sound was off and it echoed all the time. We've like, I mean, well, it wasn't on a Zoom call actually. Somebody rung in the middle of it recently. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that can just happen. And also, like my internet's it's actually touch wood. It seems to be okay now, but last couple of weeks, like the one interview we did with Jay Baker, I was like this blocky-tron because of like blocked. You can really see me at all.
I think there's a lot of forgiveness for live because people want to see real. I think people still want to see real, though I do understand the need for some animation and excitement. But I think that authenticity is something about like, okay, they're real, they're messing up, they're doing whatever. It seems like people are more interested in that. Do you think that's true, Amanda? Is that?
I think people feel more connected to you because of that, because it's live, because you're a big face on their screen and they know that they just need to type something into the comment box and they're communicating directly with you. And I think that is huge. And actually, even today, I did a Facebook live video. It's just on my content schedule for today. It had to be done. And I hadn't planned it as much as I'd like to, because even though it's live, I like to know what I'm going to talk about. And so it was okay. It wasn't bad. I had done some planning, but I cut out all the bits where I talk about Facebook Live and I put it on LinkedIn. And I put a video on LinkedIn every single day. This one, with straight away 2 people engaged with it. Now, that doesn't sound massive, but honestly, I'm quite tumbleweed on LinkedIn. Wow. This was the one. And I think it was because it was more natural. It was less perfectly edited, to put it that way. So that seemed to work really well. It's really weird because the other ones have better information, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, which is well, I finally realised I hadn't shared the show, which is almost another one of my massive failures. So, like, I've shared the show midstream.
Quick, Tim, do that now.
I was thinking he's commenting or he's.
Yeah. So I mean, I've known you. I mean, you've done a lot of blogging over the years. You've done video training. You've done.
I still do video training, but just for other organisations, so I don't promote it myself. So
yeah,
and not with Eamon anymore. Eamon, because obviously they're hiring me as their digital marketing trainer, not Eamon. But Eamon's fantastic. Just to give him a shout out, who I've worked with Go Do Video with, Eamon O'Brien from the Reluctant Speakers Club. Plug for him.
Yeah, maybe I'll ask Eamon on. Yeah. And he's proper Irish, right?
He's really Irish.
I don't think he dresses as a unicorn, no, leprechaun.
Leprechaun, probably would if you asked him.
Yeah. What would you say is your superpower from a sort of a business point of view? If you had to like pick one, what would be the one that you're best out of all of those? Or you can just dodge a question if you like.
See, I don't know. I think I could be a better writer. I'm kind of pleased if I actually put my full-fledged work into writing. I think I'm quite a good writer, but it's not necessarily a natural talent. So I know when I'll read other people's stuff and I'll go, that's better. And actually I'll read some stuff that's smarter than what I can write and I'll think it's not as well written as mine. So I'm kind of pleased with my writing style. But I think I'm good on camera. I think I'm good at this sort of stuff. Yeah. You know, I feel quite comfortable here, and it is what makes my sales. Like people knowing me from my Facebook Live shows generally, they feel like they know me. So I think I'm quite good at that. I don't know why the television stations are not knocking down my door right now, to be honest. Not that I want the job. So I think maybe the video stuff, I'm not like the best editor. I'm not the best whatever, but I think I'm quite good at presenting to camera live. Even when I'm talking to no one, it's actually nice talking to two people today.
It's fun. Yeah. So if you had, okay, so let's plug this. If you could have your own show, let's say, do you have the BBC? This is my American naivety. So
we do have the BBC, but we don't. It's not about Ireland. It's about the UK, but we get it in through satellite TV, and everyone has it.
What do you have in Ireland then? If you had,
we have a TV station called RTE, Radio Television Éireann.
Okay, so if they came knocking at your door, if the BBC or this other station came knocking at your door, and that you could have your own show, what would it be?
Oh, tough question. I'd like to do a show about cats.
Oh my gosh, my last boss at Traveling Stories, she would watch. She's all about cats.
There was a show that was on ITV in the UK where I think it's Joanna Lumley did something about cats. It was all about cats.
She doesn't like cats, I think. Is that it?
Oh no, maybe it was maybe she was trained. You do see these puff celebrity programs like where they have Portillo going around on trains.
I'd like to go and interview mad cat YouTuber people who have famous cats. I think if that was my show, it would bring all my interests together. So you'd have cats and you'd have the crazy people who have and actually not crazy, very wealthy people who have celebrity cats. So I'd like to go and interview all of those and maybe do a show around that. So like, I want to say Michael Parkinson, the American version, Jay Leno with cats.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or Louis Theroux with cats.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm not sure they trust him with cats. I don't know.
Well, to be honest, if you want to just bring Louis Theroux along anyway, just as my candy for me, that's good.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting at the moment. I mean, to some extent, you could say like, well, why don't you just create your own YouTube channel and interview people with cats? But
I have a business that I love running, so you know. This would be if I won the lottery and I didn't have to work anymore, right? I'd go pitch that, see what I can get. Or start a YouTube channel about that. Or go to Netflix and say, hey, Netflix, you know that Tiger King? What about Mad Cat Lady?
So, I mean, this comes back to a question that you see quite a lot on the sort of online social media business space, which is like, how much do you reckon people can do, on the one hand, what they love, and also stuff that's profitable? And how much intersection can you get between those? And if you see an opportunity, which, like, I don't know, selling tobacco to 7-year-olds or something, which is really terribly not something you really want to do, but extremely profitable.
We are not endorsing that.
Facebook will take your show down now.
How much does that whole kind of, in your mind, how much does that spectrum work in terms of like, how much should you focus on what you want to do and how much should you be looking at like making money, so to speak?
Well, I need to make money to survive, but when I did the corporate gifts was so much I hated about that business. So even if it had been making me a ton of money and it was just letting me tick over, it wasn't making a ton of money, I didn't want to do it. Like, there's a lot of things I don't want to do that would feel painful to do, you know, even within my business now, like accounts. Like, you know, it's like pulling teeth. Luckily, I have a bookkeeper that does it all for me. But there's, you know, that was never going to work for me. But on the other hand, it's nice to have interest outside work. So I really love my job and I really like being good at something. So that's why I'm learning every single day to try and be better, because I love working with clients and I love when they go away and they feel like they've got something, you know, and I'm being more selective about who I work with so that I get that feeling. But I do need time off. So I usually work reasonably long hours. I work 7:30 in the morning till 7 p.m. at night, but then never at weekends. And after that, you know, it's not I don't do business. I do other things I enjoy doing. I like watching films. I like going out for walks. I like reading books. I'm a big consumer of stories, which is probably why I like creating them.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things, and that gives you, if you just work on your business all the time, and if that's, and maybe you do because you're doing what you love, then you actually just burn out. You need that time to do something else and let your brain roam free. So I think make sure it's going to be profitable. Make sure you're going to enjoy doing it. Or if you're not going to enjoy doing it, you can outsource everything that you don't like doing and then go for it, really. So I'm halfway between Gary Vee and Mark Schaefer. Is that your question?
So how on earth did you end up starting a corporate gift business? Like what was it, like a franchise or something, or
no? It was gift hampers, so gift boxes of organic food and organic baby clothes. And I did it because it was the first idea that came into my head when I was a kid. My dad's company used to buy every employee one, like a gift basket. And I loved getting them. So I thought, I'll do this. Business must be really easy. I just create this and loads of people will buy it. I've got a website now. Why aren't I getting loads of sales?
Yeah.
So I just really wanted to go out by myself. And it was the first idea I came with. And I did run it. You know, it was ticking over for 4 years, I think. So relieved to get out of it. So relieved. So if you are hating what you do right now, use this COVID-19 crisis as an opportunity to quit it and do something else.
Yeah. You went into oh, sorry, Tim. Don't want to
no. Yeah. You answer the question because I've already forgotten what I was going to ask.
We like to talk over each other. So you went into blogging. What were you blogging about?
So I was blogging. Initially, I was blogging about organic food and eco-friendly corporate gifts. Then when I changed business, digital marketing. So mostly social media. Okay. And I still blog, but not as much. So maybe once a month is my kind of target at the moment, because I do the live show is my main content. It's the main selling content. And still about digital marketing. And really, I think good blogs come from people learning and sharing what they've learned. So that's what I've been doing always. It's like I go and find out about something, or I go and test something and go, oh, actually, I must write a blog post about that. Other people will find that useful.
Okay. And will it be something like the 5 things I learned about
I'm not a big fan of list posts, although I have done them in the past. So at the moment, it's more, I'm not completely out of the learning phase, but I'm looking at creating content that's not necessarily SEO friendly. My older content is SEO friendly. This is just designed for my target market. So I think my last one was about, what was it even about? It took me ages to write, I must remember. Okay. There was a worksheet and everything. No, I can't remember what it was about. Isn't that terrible? I know.
You're not specifically looking at this is going to get me high SEO scores and it's going to
No.
Okay. I
used to get tons of traffic to my website, like hundreds of thousands to my website. And basically my new strategy is cut that because those people just weren't converting to anything. Okay. So I was spending a lot of time creating content that was going to drive the traffic, but it wasn't getting me the right customers. Whereas now I have a loyal readership, or I have a loyal, they'll read any or do it, watch or whatever, anything I do. So that gives me a little bit more opportunity to just go outside SEO and say, you know, this is how you can do something really effectively for your business. And when they do that, they think, oh, actually, I must hire her to help me do all of these things I need to do in my business. And that's the goal of what I do now.
Okay. That's a key tip, because I hear so many people looking at, we have to get the high SEO score versus.
Well, it's not that that's not important, but it's not everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's also harder than it was like 5 years ago. I mean, what I've seen a lot in conferences and stuff in general is people telling you what they did that worked 5 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever, and it's like, make sure you put the word cat in the blog post, because that will score high for people who are searching cat on SEO. And now it's like a lot harder. SEO in general, I believe.
Yeah, it's the real specialism. So even though I know I know how to optimize posts for SEO. I know how to search for keywords, but it's
Yeah.
way beyond that now. You know, it's real. I always picture SEO people as like sitting in a dark room with 5 monitors around them, like eyes red, staring, because it is a really intense job, you know, to do that. So, you know, I don't think I would ever call myself an SEO specialist. I do advise clients on SEO posts they should write and how they should write them and where they get the keywords and how they incorporate them, all that basic stuff. But I don't go any deeper than that.
Yeah, I suppose we should say to anybody who's watching confused, even though I suspect we probably lost them anyway, it's search engine optimization is what SEO is, which is trying to get your post to appear at the top of the Google rankings for a particular word. I've remembered the question now that I was going to ask you. Coming back to when you were talking about gift hampers and the corporate stuff, and like I've set up a website and I'm not selling anything. So with your marketing hat, you've got somebody who's selling something and they've set up a website. What more do they need to do to get sales and get people to their website? I think this kind of overlaps a bit with the whole SEO and the rest of it. But
I think before you even do anything to market your website, and I'm really sorry if you just spent a whole lot getting one developed, you need to go through that and make sure that it's really easy for customers to buy it from you, because that's the biggest mistake I see on websites is you go there and how do I book? How do I buy? You just can't find out this thing. So get another pair of eyes before you sign off with it, if you're getting it developed now with your web developer, to go through that. And then start thinking about who you want to attract. So back in the day with the corporate gifts, I went out with a clipboard and some pieces of paper with printed out sheets, and I surveyed people. I went up to them. I was like, hey, can you answer some questions? The number of people that said no was quite frustrating. I sent those out to potential clients. You know, I sent them out. Would you mind filling in the survey? It would really help. And at the end of the survey, I had a thing, you know, if you want to know when I launch this business, fill in your email address. So I didn't even know the first thing about digital marketing. Look at me. Look at my smarts. I was already collecting email addresses. I'm kind of proud of myself now. I'd forgotten that. So that was the first thing I did. And that gave me a rough idea of what people wanted. Now, I wasn't smart with that at the time. Yeah. But if I'd been working with myself back then, I would be. So it's basically going and making sure you're addressing all the problems that people have that your thing fixes. And if your doesn't fix any problems, you're on the wrong track, and you might have just wasted your money building a website. So I recommend you do that first. And actually it's weird because I just wrote an email about customer personas and how every marketer goes on about it, right? Me included. You need to know who the customer is. You need to give them a name. You need to know how they take your coffee. And actually, doesn't matter if you don't give them a silly name. Doesn't matter if they drink their coffee, how they drink their coffee, which is a big thing here in the UK and Ireland, by the way. It's like cappuccino. What are you, Tim? I'm an Americano with cold milk.
Well, I was cappuccino, but I'm sort of going a bit milkless at the moment. So I suppose it'd be is it skinny? What's the
Americano? It's an Americano. If you've got no milk, just an Americano.
Well, no, I want a milk substitute.
Now, unless they're into their specialist coffee, is going, what are they talking about?
I'm really boring, just so you know. This is completely, there's nothing in my coffee.
Well, you've got nothing in the cup at all. It's like that is low calorie coffee.
It's completely plain. But this is interesting. Continue, because this is really interesting to me.
So what I think people do is they try and find one thing that is a stereotype of all the customers within one sector that they're trying to target. And you know, that can be good, but you don't need to do that much. You just need to know. Just give your customers a call or go and survey people on the street. You can't do that at the moment, obviously. So instead, try and get them to fill in an online survey, although that is harder. And that starts telling you the questions that people have. And actually, if you do more of the listening, if you phone up one of your customers and just get them to talk about where they were or how they're getting on with their business and start writing down things they say, that will really help you understand where they are and how you can approach other people like them. And when you do it with your customers, that's good because it's almost like a Facebook lookalike audience. Sorry. For anyone that's not digital marketing, you're finding the things that people have in common that you're able to use for marketing, and then you just need to create content around that. So any questions they have about whatever it is that you sell, and any problems that they have that you solve is the best starting point.
Yeah.
I've heard, Amanda, I've heard some people say, don't sell, tell a story. Is that?
Yes,
is that
absolutely.
okay? Can you tell us more about that and why that works?
So it's actually, I teach this as part of my video training now, and actually not just every marketing course that I teach now, which is, it's based on a story called The Hero Story, which is a classic story format. Now it's really loosely based on that. So you can go and read, there's a book by a guy called Joseph Campbell that explains it. There's also actually, it's been kind of written about in an easier way in a book called Story Brand, which basically it's taking a structure of a story that's been used from ancient times all the way till now. So Star Wars was based on it, Hunger Games was based on it. So I've kind of cannibalized that for my own little structure that I give to people to work with. So the first thing is knowing the problem that you're solving for people. So very often that's not what you think it is. We could start with, I'm trying to think of an example now, and of course one's not coming to me at the moment, but it could be like, the problem that I solve is that businesses have a lot of social media going on. They've set up a social media account everywhere. They've got a chat bot, they've got a website. They know they should be doing email marketing, but the problem is they're spending a lot of time doing all this stuff, but they haven't got any structure to it. So that's the problem I address. You know, they haven't got a process that brings all that into sales. So that's the problem my customers face. So then I would talk about some of the things they may have done to fix that. So they may have taken some online courses, but all that does is give them even more things that they start trying to do. Or they may have tried working with a training group or a mastermind, but that's still not helping them get the structure in place. So if you try and look at the things that they've done to try and fix it before, ta-da, here I am, I'm their guide. So I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. I want to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. I want a lightsaber. So I come along.
You to pull out a lightsaber there.
Do I have anything Star Wars around? No, that's all in the other room. So here we go. Look, I can do the hood.
Oh, there we go.
I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi without the lightsaber, and I'm here to help those businesses. I'm there to take all that overwhelm away and to show them how they can take all that they're doing online and fit it into a process that will result in sales. And if it doesn't result in sales, they'll know why. So that's my fix. So that's the third thing. And then you tell them how they're going to feel. All of a sudden, you're not feeling overwhelmed by social media. You don't feel like you're wasting your time, which is the big thing on it. In fact, you know, instead, you know that you've got a system in place so that every time that you spend time online, you know you're spending it effectively. So that I did a big sales pitch, and that wasn't my intention, but it was a good way of me telling the story, right?
This is brilliant. And this is what we all need to know. And you said something about Story Brand. I'm wondering if it's the same. I went to a conference, a Story Brand conference.
Donald Miller, hang on.
Donald Miller. Okay. I went to his conference here in San Diego, and that was the first time I heard about Story Brand. Yeah,
I want to go to one of his events. That's kind of on my dream list.
Oh, it was so good. It was. I went
in 2025 when this is all over.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not interested in doing it online. I want to go. I went to Story Brand event.
You need to help tell the story. That you would be great. Yeah, you'd be great to be part of that. So, that was my first time I heard about it.
There's actually another book which is a very good version of The Hero's Journey, which is the writer's journey, but that's was screenplay writers. So, but it's got illustrations and everything in it. It's got like all the pictures, and it's got all the stages, which like. But I haven't read.
Yeah, there's definitely more to it. There's definitely more to it than what I said. This is my shortened, cannibalized version. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fundamentally, from a story point of view, it's somebody is put into an awkward situation, they learn something, and then they come back again.
But they have to be transformed at the end. That's the important thing.
But that's it was transform, learn, do something.
If I remember right, what the Story Brand idea is, your client is the hero. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your guide, your Obi-Wan. Your client is Luke Skywalker. Hopefully, people have watched Star Wars. This often falls on dead ears when I start telling Star Wars stories.
It's amazing, like, because having grown up in that generation when Star Wars was ubiquitous, the number of people who were like, "Who the hell's like Luke Skywalker?"
Who's Luke Skywalker? I know, right?
Like, yeah. I don't know. That's why the world's going to pop, because people don't know anything. Even though
they haven't watched Star Wars. Watch Star Wars.
I was talking on a changing the subject and going off tangent, but it is pretty screwed up story actually. Star Wars, the first trilogy, because it's like Luke almost ends up snogging his sister, and they almost end up, and then he finds out he's like. His father.
Don't be giving it away. People may not have seen it.
Well, then bloody. If you're going to spoil a movie, I think The Empire Strikes Back is like, and like the family dynamics of it are really screwed up. So you could argue that that's the legacy of Star Wars. That people think that their father-in-law got to torture them and throws them in carbonite or something.
The new ones are even worse along the family tree lines. It's dark.
I tried to like pretend that never happened, Tim, the brother-sister dynamic, and I think we put it in the back of our mind because in my head it never happened. But I remember thinking as a kid, like, I'm so confused. It's really traumatizing.
Yeah, well, that sort of thing happens in the galaxy. It's like, they're quite liberal.
Just as well she met Han, right?
Yeah.
That's so funny. I have a question for you, Amanda. Going back to, I was looking through your Facebook, and you do something really interesting. It looks like weekly, maybe. Your coffee chats. What is it called?
The digital coffee. Yeah.
Yes. Can you tell us about that?
That's the show Tim was in.
Yeah.
So it's a weekly live show on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/spiderworking, and it's kind of not on American time, but of course you can watch it afterwards. It's morning time here, 2 a.m. for you, right, Tim?
Yeah.
And it's 9:30 a.m. here, and it's a roundup of the social media and digital marketing news of the week, with the real focus on, I'm not just telling you the news, I am telling you how that applies to your business. So how you could use that or take inspiration from that news for your business. So I'm not just saying this has happened. I'm looking at how you can apply it to your digital marketing strategy. So it's been going for 4 years, I think, almost every Friday for 4 years. It's not on this Friday because I'm on staycation.
Staycation. What are you doing for your staycation?
We're going to the cinema. Actually, the cinema is open for the first time. I haven't been to the cinema since the day I arrived back from San Diego. So that was beginning of March. So very excited about that. And we're going into the countryside, cut off from everything, probably eat too much food, go for some walks, that sort of thing.
Okay.
I had this vision of you going to a cinema in the countryside there.
No, the cinema's in Galway City. And it's one of those that has those big armchair seats, you know?
Yeah.
And there's no new films out, so we're going to see Superman the movie.
Oh. Okay.
Well, the original, right?
There's no new films. They're not releasing them because they want to wait until all the cinemas are open worldwide, because obviously they won't make any money otherwise.
Yeah.
So the ones that they can release on Netflix, they have. But there's one I really want to see, Tenet.
Okay.
Which looks really good, but it's all very like high concept special effects. It really needs to be seen in the cinema. So that was initially going to be coming out now, but I think it needs to come out globally. It definitely needs to come out in the States because that's where they make most of their money. So they're hardly going to release it to Ireland and the UK where they make a few pence. Yeah. So that's the big reopening film. But now we just have to watch classics.
Yeah, I was surprised that, because I went tonight, the Rain Dance Film Festival in London that they had a few years back, and apparently it's like now most of the cinemas, rather than having the old film and everything that you used to see, it's the hard disk. The thing is what they're shipping around now.
Digital projection. It's
Yeah.
like, they
But
don't
they're
even
not-
have a man up there anymore or a woman.
Yeah, but they don't send it electronically over the airways or anything. They physically send a hard disk that they plug in, and then that's what the films are on. I just thought it was like bizarre.
Yeah, it is. It's all weird and different.
All right, I have an American question because, again, we in America find it fascinating to know what people are doing elsewhere, where it's nothing deep. You're going on your staycation. You're going to go to the cinema. Where do you go eat? Can you describe what you might? Where you might?
Yeah, that's troublesome. That's troublesome at the moment because not everywhere is open. So there's lots of different places where there's a nice little pub. We'd call it pub grub, so bar food. But there's a nice little pub. If that's open, we might go there. And it's a Thursday night, so it should be okay. There's been problems. There's been problems since the pub's opened because there's a rule here that you have to buy food that costs a substantial meal that costs €9 or more, and then you can stay in a pub for 110 minutes to eat it.
Okay.
But of course, everyone's been breaking the rules and everyone's been getting sick again. So ever since they opened the pubs, even with that restriction, it's all gone wrong. So whether that pub will be open for the food, I don't know.
Okay.
We're thinking it's supposed to be a nice day, so we might have chips on the beach because there's a beach near the cinema, which would be perfect, really. So it's finding a chip shop that's open, or we may just have a smelly sandwich in a car like a salesman.
Yeah.
And chips is English, British, Irish chips, not the terrible crisp rubbish that you get.
Like this big, chunky, nice, dipped in grease.
And are you drinking in Guinness? Let's say the pub chips thing works out. Are you drinking Guinness or something else?
So yeah, we're probably not going to drink in the pub because where we're staying is a 2-hour drive away, and there's like a zero tolerance limit on drinking and driving. So we'll bring beer with us to where we end up. But yeah, I like Guinness. Guinness is good in winter because it's a nice kind of substantial drink.
Yeah.
I also like lager. I also like draft beer, and I also like gin and tonic.
Okay.
So next time you see me, any of those drinks is fine.
Now we know. Now we know what we're drinking.
Yeah.
So those are my American questions, Tim. Are you?
Yeah. Well, it's. Yeah, I was watching a video actually. I don't know. I'm just seem to be in anecdote mode at the moment rather than asking questions. But they were saying that like one of the differences between British and American people is that when we British people read out telephone numbers and other numbers, we rather than say like 88, we'd say 88 or like 66 or things like that. And apparently in the US they don't do that. They just say 88.
I mean, I'm noticing something that's fun with chatting with you and people around the world is I am noticing how our English is different, and it's fun to, and sometimes I don't even realize it. And I think we're speaking the same, talking about the same thing, and we're not. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, you pointed out even in my show, I think I said something and you pointed that out to me. Do you remember that, Tim? On Monday, I said something and you said, I don't know if this is a UK American thing, but in UK we say.
Oh, yeah. What was that about?
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
This just before we came on, I was having a Twitter conversation with Chris Brogan and Christina. I'm having that moment. Christine, not Christina. Sorry, Christine. About bologna and spam.
Oh yeah.
Tell me about this.
The way you spell bologna properly has a G in, which looks like bolognese without A's on the end. So I was totally confused, and then I realised it was bologna, and then I said, "Is it like spam then?" Because we were trying to discuss what it was, and then Chris was like, "I think spam's more like bacon," and I'm like, then I'm thinking, "Oh, he's seen the Monty Python sketch." But actually, spam, you can have it cold in a sandwich, or you can heat it up and have it with eggs, peas, chips. Mm-hmm. It's so disgusting. It's just, I'm a vegetarian. I haven't eaten it in years, but it was war food. It was eaten during the war because you could pack out the meat with other stuff to make it cheap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually went in cans as well, so you could just like
spam.
Yeah, I'm plant-based too, Amanda. I try to be. I'll say I'm 99% plant-based as much as I can be.
I
So
like the way you say you're plant-based. It makes you sound like you actually are a plant.
I'm a plant. Do you know why I say this? Because if I say vegan, I'm not truly vegan, and
And you get vegan people, yeah.
Yeah. So then I try to be real specific, 99%. So if I ever happen to pick up something that isn't.
Yeah, I'm just plain vegetarian. I do dairy. So.
Well, I've been trying to cut out dairy and gluten lately. I don't think the gluten's making any difference, but I think dairy definitely. I don't. My body really doesn't appreciate it. So I've been hanging around more the kind of free from section in Sainsbury's in the supermarket where you get a lot of weird vegan people hanging around.
What are you saying, Tim? People like me.
I know. What are you saying? What are you saying? Like,
well, it's like I don't know. I don't have a problem with what people want to eat or do. I mean, unless they're cannibals. I mean, that could be a problem.
Yeah, I have a problem with that.
Tim, what's behind your head?
Oh yeah. This is the old when the conversation gets to what I put on the board. Which was purely, I think it was actually doing a video challenge that I was doing for Amanda's group.
Okay, so it says learn from the past, don't give in.
Learn from the past, don't live in it.
Don't live in it. Learn from
the great problem with this board is where it's sat, the light makes it almost impossible to read. Small book. I think I'd have to go. Can I go solo?
That's a very good tip. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Hey, learn from the past, don't live in it. Good.
Yeah, there we go.
I like that.
This is the first time I like doing this show, and I realised, I can go solo on it. So,
where can we find you? Where can everyone find you online? Where do you want us to go? What do you want us to plug right now as we close out?
So if you go to my website, spiderworking.com is where it's my homepage for everything. This is actually on the homepage. If you scroll down, there's a sign up form for this there. You don't even have to go to this link. And I'm spiderworking everywhere. So anywhere you see that is me. So, but my website, go to my website. It's great.
Yeah.
You can tell me what my last blog post is.
I'm going to be hanging out there watching to learn from you for sure. So,
yeah, why I hate California people. It's pretty good.
That's it. Californian people are the best, apart from everyone else.
Why I hate plant-based California.
This is why I refer to Tim as my big brother, because he keeps it real.
Right. On that note, I think we're coming to an end, aren't we? Which means that I've got to play the outro thing, which I haven't got.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, viewers. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.